Good morning. Okay, so I am 10 minutes early today. Yay! I'm so excited. I'm in the same place on my commute, but I'm 10 minutes early. So my efforts to get to work a little earlier are working. And a lot of it has to do with this group coaching call that I had yesterday. Hold on. There's a dump truck ahead of me. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, my camera holder thing is acting a little crazy, which is the theme for the morning because my hair is also a little crazy. It's a little bit Albert Einstein and a little bit Frederick Douglass, which is neither one is a good look, right? For a girl anyway. All right, so I am so inspired today. I have a peppermint in. I actually messed myself up about 5 minutes before I started the live because something amazing happened and I just started screaming. Like, I'm just like letting it all out, and I was like scream laughing, and then I went into like this crazy coughing fit, and it was just like, seriously. So now I'm like coughing like crazy. So hey, Diane. So I have a peppermint, and hopefully I can make it through without coughing my head off. Oh, this is Travel Chat. I'm trying to remember to say that every day. This is Travel Chat. This is the wacky, unscripted show where I use my super long commute to work through my personal development issues and talk about how I'm using law of attraction in my daily life. And I'm taking you along for the ride, literally, because sometimes it helps to hear what somebody else is doing, and sometimes it just helps to let you know that you're not alone, you're not crazy, you're not, the people who seem to have it all actually have issues that they're working through too, and we never ever know that unless somebody tells you what's going on behind the scenes. So this is me telling you what's going on behind the scenes. Sometimes I'm in a great mood like today, and sometimes I'm in a sketchy mood, and I tell you whenever that is. Like, I tell you the good and the bad and the why, and then I work through it. So this is what's happening right now. We are going to talk about self-doubt because we all have it. So first off, just to let you know, everybody has self-doubt. It doesn't matter who you are. If you do not have self-doubt, I want to hear why. Because everyone has that screaming voice inside of your head that tells you all kind of crazy things to scare you into feeling like you can't do what you feel like you can do, what you want to do. It's a protective thing that we have to keep us from kind of stepping out there onto the edge and doing something that's detrimental to our life. But here's the thing. So we are all born limitless. We are born limitless. We are born without any sort of restriction on what we can have and what we can do. We may not be able to talk, but the babies cry. You give the baby what it wants because you honestly just want it to stop crying and be quiet. So babies have a very effective mechanism for getting what they want. And as we get older, because we have to fit into polite society, people start to help us learn the rules, right? So I say this all the time, but like 97% of the world is not working on their personal development. 97% of the world, and I totally made up that number, that's just from my observation. They're not trying to actively be better people, trying to actively become millionaires, trying to actively get out of debt, trying to actively change their lives. Most of the people you know are not trying to change their lives. And if you are, you may be looked at like a weirdo, a wacko, or some kind of person that's acting like they're too big for their britches. Okay, so what happens is when you start to become, like, say you're like 3 years old, 4 years old, and my twins are about to be 4. And so I see this emerging in them where they are limitless And it's okay when you're 2 years old. It's cute, right? It's cute when you're 2. It's cute when you're 3. But when you become 4 and 5 and you're about to go into school, it's not cute for you to feel like you can do anything you want to do, have anything you want to have, be anything you want to be. Whereas we encourage that in our home, when you start to be in polite society, you got to follow the rules, which means that you need to kind of calm it down. Like, you can only sit in one chair at a time. You can only play with your stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so we start learning, no, you can't do this. No, you can't have that. You got to do this. You need to do that. You need to do it this way, because that's the way we're doing it in this classroom. That's the way we're doing it, in church. This is the way we do things. It's not cute anymore. You're too big for that. So we all start learning about what we can't do. And not to say that class or church is bad. And there's even rules, these rules keep us safe. These rules keep us from falling out of line. But my kids are just 4. So I'm still, I have a lot to learn as far as how to make sure that we walk the balance between, I still want you to feel limitless, but I also want you to cooperate in society, right? Like, I don't want you to stand on the chair in church and declare your feelings when everybody else is sitting down. Like, that's not the right thing to do. But I also want you to still be bold enough to know what your feelings are. So what happens is that we begin to hear, it evolves over time. So it starts with stuff like that, and it evolves into, you're 7 years old or you're 8 years old, and you have these ideas, and you're like, I want to be a whatever, whatever it is. I want to be an artist. I want to play piano for a living. I want to be a professional soccer player. Whatever it is that you decide younger than 10 years old that you want to be. And, I'm always telling you that it's that younger than 10-year-old brain that has has your purest you at heart. And that's the part of life where you're the most impressionable. Your brain is like a soft, squishy clay, and whatever's imprinted in it is taken at face value, and it just solidifies and it hardens, and then you take that your whole life thinking that that's the truth. So you're 7 years old, you're 8 years old, and someone hears you say that you want to be a professional ballet dancer, and they tell you can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, you have a short neck and boxy shoulders, and your feet are not flexible enough, and your knees stick out too much. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have the build for ballet. So what happens to you is you internalize that, and you may fight back. You may say, yes, I will, and you may take ballet lessons for a couple more years. But what happens is now you're 40, right? Now you're 40. You're not a professional ballet dancer, but there are several things that you've wanted to do in your life. But in the back of your mind, you hear this, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You're not good enough to do that. It's like there's a record in your mind playing of every, discouraging comment you've ever heard in your whole life. And it's playing, and I haven't decided whose voice it is. I don't think it's my voice. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to discern it, because I don't hear it. It's like a feeling, But, more and more as I get to know myself, I don't feel like that's coming from me. That's why I call it the monkey on the trampoline. Because it just sounds like some idiot telling me something. It doesn't sound like me saying, anyway, it says you can't do that. It's not saying I can't do that. Most of the time it's saying you can't do that. Who do you think you are? So whosever voice it is, I'm not blaming that person, that voice, whatever. It's just an internalized feeling of what we've learned throughout our adolescence and our childhood to keep us safe. So it's like everybody's or like your school of fish. All the fish are swimming in this direction. Don't you dare turn around and swim the other way, because that would be weird. And there's only there's only 3 out of 100 people who are doing something different than everyone else. And those 3 people do not live in your neighborhood or go to your school. Maybe one of them goes to your school. But you're going to be a weirdo. You're going to be an outcast. You're not going to have any friends. People are going to laugh at you. It's going to be weird. It's going to be uncomfortable. Your parents are going to be sad because you're, doing something different. So we stop ourselves and we protect ourselves from that ridicule. So this is what I want you to know first and foremost, is that this is universal and there's a reason for it. I just explained this is why we end up with that voice in our head, and that is okay. What we need to know now is, I don't know if you're in midlife or what, I'm in midlife, but what you need to know now is that everybody has that. You are not the only one who has that. So that should be comforting and reassuring to know that it's not just you. So if you have a big dream, like right now, I have a dream, a different idea, starting a small business. And whenever I mention it to anyone in my life, well, first of all, I don't talk about it that much because I've learned that when I talk about it, I get that same thing that I got in childhood of like, you can't do that. Or that I get more sophisticated discouragement, which is like, well, if you do that, this will happen. This might happen. Don't forget about this, and all this fear that comes from other people. And I used to tell people, don't tell people about your dream. But it's kind of hard, not to tell like your spouse. So tell who you want, but know that you're going to get a little pushback from a lack and a fear perspective, because people are going to try to protect you. And just remember that out of every 100 people, there's only going to be 3 people who get it and who say, yeah, you can do that. Go for it. Just try it. See what happens. Most people are going to be like, you can't do that. That's crazy. Don't try to do that. So you end up wondering if you can do it. So you get like this self-doubt, and you're like, all the stuff from childhood comes back. Like, oh gosh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Who do I think I am? What am I trying to do? So everybody has it. Everybody's working through their stuff. When you tell people that you have an idea that's not mainstream and they tell you that you can't do it, I want you to remember that they also have a voice in their head telling them that they can't do it. We tend to believe that if somebody we love and trust and respect voices an opinion of doubt, that they know more than we know. They may actually know, they may have a different life experience than we have, so definitely seek guidance. If someone is an expert in something, or they've done it before, seek their guidance if they have expertise. But if someone is just operating from their own fear and their own voice in their head saying, danger, danger, this is not a mainstream thought. I'm trying not to cough, can you tell? All morning. Then don't take that to heart. Instead, realize that we are all little lambs working through our crap. Some of us are working through it. If you're working through it and you're talking to someone who isn't working through it, that should tell you right there that the voice in their head that's telling them that they can't do something it has no rebuttal. The voice that you have in your head telling you that you can't do something has a rebuttal, because you're actively getting your inner being, the God part of you, to rebut that monkey on the trampoline. The monkey on the trampoline is saying, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? But because you're working towards enlightenment and because you're doing a personal development work, you're saying, I think that I am a perfectly, wonderfully made child of God, and I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me, or through whatever the power that you believe in. If you have a connection to the source of the creator of the universe, what can you not do? Because first of all, I'll tell you this, he will line up open doors for you. If you say, hey God, I really want to do this, I'm going to take the first step, will you please help me? He will line up a series of open doors for you. So if somebody tells you, I don't think that idea is possible, they don't know what you know. So that's two big things. One is the voice in your head telling you to doubt yourself, and two are the voices externally that are telling you to doubt yourself. when you're small, you start to hear this from parents first. Then you start to hear from teachers. Then you start to hear from peers. And unfortunately, a lot of times we hear it in church. Now, what is the easiest way to learn something? The easiest way to learn something is to put it in a song form, a rap, whatever it is. How many times have you learned something listening to a song? Either facts, like different facts that you learn from a song, or all the lyrics to a bunch of songs, and it's like you didn't even work to learn all the song lyrics. Like they come easily. You hear it over and over again. It's got a catchy tune. Next thing you know it, right? So this is my opinion, which I'm probably going to get flack for. But it's my opinion. You can always navigate away from the from the channel. I used to love gospel music. Love, live by it. When I started doing personal development last year, I cannot tolerate gospel music anymore. I cannot. Like, it makes me so angry. Like, first it makes me uncomfortable, and then I look around and I'm like, who is listening to this? And what is this doing to your brain? And I'll tell you why. And it's not all gospel music. Like, I love Amazing Grace. We sing hymns at home. We listen to hymns at home. But like, contemporary gospel music is like brainwashing in a negative way. And I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. So if you're actively telling, like, I'm doing the work to make sure that I feel capable and powerful and connected to God, right? I'm telling myself all the time, I am enough. I am beautiful enough. I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough. I'm powerful enough. I'm educated enough. Because believe it or not, I have a doctorate. But guess what goes through my mind every single day? The monkey on the trampoline is telling me, if you want to coach people, you better go to coaching school. What the heck? Like, I need to go to school more? Like, I've been coaching patients for a decade. And I'm really telling myself, really, that I need to go to school and get a master's degree in life coaching? Seriously? And not only that, there's like, Dave Ramsey has this financial master coaching program that I do plan on doing. But every day I'm like, if you're going to tell people about money, like every Magic Money Monday, if you're going to tell people about Monday, you better go through Dave Ramsey's coaching program. Seriously? I have a doctorate. I have life experience. Are you really telling me I need to go through more? So I'm telling you, everybody has this self-doubt. Everybody has this self-doubt. So I'm working through it. I tell you guys this all the time. I get a weird thought. I grab it. Like, as it's happening, I'm like, what? What'd you say, monkey on the trampoline? I grab it, I wrestle it to the ground, and I get rid of it. I try to smash every defeatist, limiting, negative belief that I have. I'm working through them because I need to get to another level. If you want to get from one level to the next level, you have got to smash those beliefs that are holding you back. So beliefs that hold me back are beliefs that I'm not good enough and I need to be more of something. So when I listen to gospel music, some contemporary gospel music, here's an example. This song, the reason I'm doing this show today is because this song was in my head. And I was like, I need to talk about this today. That song from Fighting Temptations. And I don't sing. I mean, I hope y'all don't turn the channel just from me singing. But this is how it goes. I'm not perfect. Yes, I do wrong. I'm trying my best, but it ain't good enough. Shunned by the world if I don't succeed. I know I'm not good enough, but he still loves me. You know that song? All right. So basically what they're saying is, and this is what a lot of gospel songs say, God, you need God. I believe that. Yes, I do. You need God, and you are a filthy, wretched maggot, and without God, you are nothing. Right? Like, it's like, it got a little creepy there. I think probably, no, this is the truth. You are created in the image of God. God is perfect. God is amazing. God is the very definition of love. You are perfect and amazing. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the very definition of love. And let your physical being connect to your spiritual being, and you are limitless. You are amazingly powerful beyond your wildest wicked imagination. Not wicked. And so when we sing these songs and we learn the words and they're in our head, they're reinforcing this idea that I'm not perfect. Yes, I do wrong. I'm trying my best, but it's not good enough. I'm shunned by the world. If I don't succeed, I know I'm not good enough, but God still loves me. Like, I'm just the worst thing ever, but oh, thank God he still loves me even though I'm a filthy maggot. I hate that, guys. Oh my gosh. Like, that song is stuck in my head and it's driving me crazy. Well, I mean, it's good because it made me talk to you guys about this today. But it's like, no. Even Amazing Grace. I love Amazing Grace. I was singing it on the weekend because my daughter's name is Grace. And we woke up singing Hey Jude to my son. His name is Jude. So I said, okay, Grace, here's a song with your name in it. But it's Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, hold up. And these are songs that are put into our head. It's ingrained into our being as tiny children. And now we're like, oh, but I'm just a filthy wretch. And it's like, no, you're not a filthy wretch. So everyone has a self-doubt. If somebody's telling you something, it's because they actually believe that you can't do it. But that doesn't have anything to do with what you what you have to believe. We have to break up with these parts of ourselves if we want to move to the next level. That's just it. If you can get through your daily life and you can pick out examples like this, like I did with these two songs, you're on a good track, because that means you recognize the difference. Most people, 97% of the people on earth, are just going through and they hear the stuff and they're like, oh, that's such a catchy tune. Yes, Lord, yes. And it's like, you don't even realize the part of that that's holding you back, the part of that that's making you small. The other thing I was thinking of with this, so I joined this group coaching yesterday. It was this whole miracle thing that played out. It was like seriously a miracle. There's this one coach that I've been following, and that was a miracle too, like the way that played out. But I'll tell y'all that on another day. And he has this program where they do calls every Tuesday, and I have been hesitating on joining in. And yesterday he messaged me. He was like, are you still not in our group? Because the calls on Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. Are you still not in our group? And it was just amazing. So I ended up joining into the group. And the moment I went to click the link to join the Zoom call, it said group coaching, which I have been praying for group coaching, which we get through the SOS Club. They're changing SOS Club into group coaching, which is amazing. But this, and that's for personal development. But this is specifically like Abraham Hicks people. And it's specifically for like law of attraction and all this stuff. And I love the group. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was like, group coaching, like this is exactly what I've been looking for. And it was so wonderful. So anyway, there was this part towards the end where he said something that reminded me of how I always tell my husband, because my kids, they're twins, but they're completely different. Like they have completely different strengths and weaknesses, like everybody else, right? And so it's because they're the same age, it's very highly contrasted in our house. Like you can see the difference. Jude is very cerebral. He's a thinker. He's always building things. And Grace is very athletic. She doesn't have the patience to sit down and do anything. Like she has energy from morning to night, and she's always running, always kicking a ball. She could kick a ball from a very, very young age. Jude could not even walk for like she was walking and he was still crawling for like months and months and months. Like they're just so different. But my husband sometimes will like push Jude to do things, and I have this saying that I say, don't make my little fish climb a tree. And it basically means, there's like, I saw it on a meme or something, I'm not sure, but, or maybe somebody, it came from a quote, maybe it was Mark Twain or something, but I can't remember. But it was like, if I'm going to just give you the gist of it, the way I think of it. It's like, if you have a fish, right? Like, say I'm a fish, because I'm getting myself tangled up, but this is what I wanted to say. I use this example with my kids, but what I notice is I also use it for me. So I'm going to tell it to you so you can use it for yourself too. I am a fish, right? I'm just a little fish. Like, take the pressure off yourself. Get the pressure off yourself. I am just a little fish. If you want me to swim, I can swim like nobody's business. Like, I am a number one greatest Olympic swimmer as a fish. Like, I can't swim in real life, but as a fish, I can swim. If you want me to like flap my little fins, perfect, I can do that. If you want me to breathe underwater, perfect, I can do that. I'm so good at that. Like, that's my specialty. But if you ask me to climb a tree, I'm going to let you down. I'm going to fail. I'm going to let you down. I cannot climb a tree. I'm a fish. Damn it. So whenever my husband's trying to get you to do something that clearly is not in his wheelhouse, well, like, I'm all for like stretching yourself. But when it comes to the point where it's like, you're just stressing him out. Like, he can't ride a bike. Like, you're stressing him out. He's crying, and I say, don't make my little fish climb a tree. Because we are all good at so many things. We are so good at so many things. But guys, we are not good at everything. And if we come across something that we are not good at, or somebody points out something we are not good at, guess what? I'm not perfect at every single freaking thing. But if you ask me to do something that I'm good at, oh yeah, I'll blow you away. I'm impressive. But if you ask me to do something I'm not good at, I'm just not good at it, And if it's something that you want to learn, by all means, go learn it. But if it's something that's not in your zone of genius, stop beating yourself up. Let yourself off the hook. Look at your life, look at your activities, look at your goals and your dreams. Decide what is a lake of water, and decide what is a tree. And if you're trying to climb a tree, like me, I am not a graphic designer. I make graphics and they are hideous sometimes. I used to try to always take my own photos, like for Instagram. I took all my own pictures and I put them up there, and I see other people's Instagram accounts and I'd be like, ooh, actually that's not as good as I thought it was. Like, that's really horrible. Well, I was trying to climb a tree. I keep trying to make my graphics better because I noticed that the more I do it, the better I get at it. The more I seek out assistance, the more I look at people's tutorials, and the more I learn about the graphic design software, the better I get at it. So little by little, I'm learning. Little by little, that tree is becoming a lake. But that's not true for everything, right? Like, I'm not a tax attorney. That's a tree for me. I'm a little fish. I swim super good, but I can't climb a tree. So what do? I hire someone to prepare my taxes. We made a $30-something thousand mistake on our taxes a couple years ago. We had to pay it all. Still have not seen a bit of that money back. But that taught me, that's a tree, babe. That's a tree. Get somebody else to do that for you, because fish should not be climbing trees. So I'm telling you this to tell you to let yourself off the hook. Stop it. Stop beating yourself up over things that you can't do, that are not part of things that you should be able to do. We do this to ourselves all the time. We doubt ourselves. Oh, if I can't do that, I must not be a good person. And you know why? It's because way back when, you were in class somewhere between pre-K and 12th grade, and everybody was doing it this way, and they told you weren't doing it right. And you started to feel that doubt. Because I think we had 7 periods. I say 7 with the number 4 hanging up. Oh my gosh. Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. So I think we had 7 periods as far as I can remember back in school. And in every single class, I was expecting myself to get an A. That went from gym class to calculus to English to Spanish, every single class, right? Because we're supposed to get straight A's, right? We are supposed to get straight A's as though we are a fish and every single subject is a pond, a lake, an ocean. But guess what? Try to get straight A's if you want to. If that's important to you, try to do that. But do not let yourself be psychologically damaged because you are a fish trying to climb a tree. But this is what we do to kids. So some of us are people pleasers like me. And I know I'm not talking to little kids who are going through high school. Like if I'm talking to you, this is all probably behind you. And all this is said and done. Like you either got straight A's or you got a mixture or you got whatever you got, it's in the past. But what you still have is the feeling of either failure or success or failure. So either you feel like, yeah, I got all A's and B's. Good for me. I worked really hard. I turned my trees into ponds and I did what I had to do to get the grade. That's great. But if you have any inner thought about something that you didn't do well, that you struggle with, or somebody told you weren't good at, like you were really good at math, but you weren't so great at art class or home economics or something like that, and it made you feel bad about that, it's time to let that go. It's time to see it for what it is. Really see it as, you know what, I'm a grown-up now. That was a tree. I recognize that now. I struggled so hard as a fish trying to climb up that tree. I couldn't breathe because I breathe underwater. I couldn't breathe. It was really difficult. And now I feel like I'm inadequate in other areas of my life. I feel like I'm a bad husband. I feel like I'm a bad wife. I feel like I could never be a great mom. I feel like I could never be an adequate dad. I feel like, I could never be this or that, or I could never own a business because I'm not organized, because I didn't have a trapper keeper. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like we have all of these hang-ups and misgivings from childhood because we couldn't do everything perfectly. We couldn't do every single thing as perfectly as the next person because all we do is compare ourselves. And it's time to break up with self-doubt. It is time to break up with self-doubt. If you want to move to the next level, you have got to let it go. How do you let it go? Well, you take those thoughts. When you feel a thought coming through, you take it and you analyze it. You hear in your head, you suck at this. And you go, wait, hold on. Do I suck at this? You hear, I suck at this. You change that. This is cognitive behavioral therapy. You take a thought, you change it, and then you make an affirmation about it. So you say, I suck at graphic design. And I change that thought to, I am getting better and better at graphic design. And then my affirmation is, I am becoming a graphic designer. Period. And then that's the one I take with me. So you got 3 ideas. The first one is that automatic thing that pops into your head. The second one is you intentionally correcting that thought. And then the third one is the affirmation you take, the one that you can repeat over and over and over again. The quick one, it usually starts with I am. And you can repeat it over and over again, and that's how you change that belief in your head. And if you don't use I am, like if I was saying I am becoming a graphic designer, the alternative is the Christy Marie Sheldon way, which I love. I started using this and it's great. And it's a question. And you say, what would it take for me to become a graphic designer? And what happens is immediately you start to get ideas. Well, watch some videos on YouTube. Talk to a friend who knows how to do it. Look at Michelle Rohr's templates in the Passive Income or Printables course. There's so many things you could do. Instead of just going, I suck. My pictures suck. You say, how can I make them better? What can I do to become the person I want to become? Those are the tough questions. Okay. And the other thing is tapping. So I learned tapping last week. I have been tapping on everything. I've tapped all weekend, y'all. I tapped on Grace in church. I was holding her like this because she was acting up. And I started tapping on her and whispering affirmations and things in her ear because I need her to calm down. It worked too. But if you look up Brad Yates tapping, he has a tapping video for everything. It's amazing. So I've been tapping on everything. So you can tap on your self-doubt. Okay, I can't even explain to you how to do it now, but if you watch Brad Yates, the videos are like 5 minutes long, and you can tap on it and see if it makes a difference in your life. So Jairus is saying, I wouldn't categorize it as a gospel song. That's true. It was like a movie. But I understand how you feel. I don't listen to mainstream gospel music like that anymore either. It has lost the gospel sound and message. But even like I was saying, Amazing Grace tells you you're a wretch. And it's true. And I don't even like to categorize one part of music, but I picked gospel music because I don't like hip hop music. I don't like R&B. Like, I hate R&B, but I think I hate R&B because I grew up with R&B. So I have like all of these, like emotional triggers. Like, I have like memories associated with some R&B. Now, some brings back good memories, but it's funny how a song can put you right back in the place that you were when you were first listening to the song. So some of them have really good memories, and some of them have extremely, extremely painful memories. So yes, it's not all gospel music, but most of the time. And so the thing is, if you're listening to gospel music, usually you are, someone who's trying to be better in yourself. Like, you want to be a good Christian. You want to, instead of listening to some kind of other kind of mainstream worldly music, you want to listen to like good music in the car and like do the right thing for your life. And so when you're trying to do the right thing, but they're telling you that you're a bad person and that you need this other entity to make you whole and good and righteous, that's what I have a problem with. It's like you're taking a weak, vulnerable person and telling them that they're nothing. Like, you're reinforcing that they're nothing, instead of saying, hey, guess what? You're awesome and you are created in the image of God. You have all the power that you need. Tap into the power and you have all the power. So that's the problem I have with it. Because, if you're already trying to be good and you think the way to righteousness is through the Bible, then why are they telling you that it's not a connection. It's not in agreement with what God says about you. Saying that I'm a filthy, wretched nothing is not correct, when God is saying, I love you, and I have my arms wrapped around you, and no one could ever even put into words, like, there is no word to explain how much I love you and how much I think that you're wonderful, just the way that you are. Like, that is what he's telling us. But then we hear songs and music and we try to follow along with like, I'm nothing, I need to be saved. I need to be saved. You don't need to be saved. You need to connect. You need to connect with a higher power. You don't need to be, like, saved from the pit of despair. But anyway, that's my own crazy hangups. I told you before, it's probably not going to be. Yeah, the trapper keeper. Yeah. Okay. What about people that can't let go of childhood trauma or bad relationship issues? Yes. So, what happens is, and this, what I've learned is, like, you could have chronic pain from like childhood trauma and bad relationship issues, because the energy from that experience can get stored in your body and cause so much tension. You think you have a, rotator cuff tear or something like that, like I do, but I don't have pain anymore because I cleared it out by dealing with the issue of what happened to get me the trauma. I had a bad relationship, and I thought I had hurt my shoulder, in this incident. And once I worked through the issue, the pain went away. But so what happens is, you have this childhood trauma, you have bad relationship trauma, and you hold that in your body because you're any kind of trauma, like PTSD from war even, which is probably the most extreme. You've had to kill people. You've had to see them die. It's just like horrible stuff. You've had friends die right next to you, like horrible stuff that happens in war. You can't let that go. It's burned into your brain. But the way to cope with that and to get through it is you have to deal with the issue. Like, you have to deal with it and release it. Michelle Rohr said something in a Michelle and Amy show like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I've been carrying around with me. I've been carrying this thing around, and it has governed my life for like the last 3 weeks. She said, is my past more important than my future? When she said that, it just sent me like, oh my gosh, it just sent me on this like mission in life. And now everything I do and think and have is filtered through this idea of, is my past more important than my future? Am I going to let my past be bigger than my future? Am I going to hold on to a painful memory? Because when you have a painful memory that you keep thinking about, you keep it active. You know, thoughts are energy. And if you keep thinking of this horrible thing, you keep it active. So the way that you get rid of it is you deal with it. You do the work to deal with it. Before I was tapping, and tapping is good at like they're doing research with tapping with PTSD for military people. So we know the tapping works for PTSD. So you try it, try tapping. But before I was doing tapping, if you guys remember last week, I think it was, right before that, I was doing that Christy Marie Sheldon exercise with, I told you, like, it was like 5 steps. That was working. You go back to that past issue, you go there in your mind and you fix it. And when you fix it, you start to see it from a different perspective. And Nick Bro was talking about this yesterday, that everything that's painful to us is painful because of our perspective of it. So like, I was in a situation with a parent. Either one, you can take my biological father. That was I had one painful experience with him in childhood. And then I had a stepfather who was just, it was all painful experiences. But you can take either experience. And from my perspective, all I could do, like, I had pain because of what I perceived was happening. But when I did these exercises, I ended up on the other side of it. I ended up as that other person and seeing that situation from a totally different place. And suddenly, like, even now, I don't have pain. It was like that. It was an instant. I don't have pain from it, because when I was the other person in the situation, I wasn't trying to hurt me. I was hurting. I wasn't trying to, like, I'm going to make this kid's life miserable. No, I was hurting. When I think it was in high school, I'm going to tell you this quick story. I'm going into work. When I was in high school, now mind you, I never grew up with my dad. He never called us. He was never there, right? He was never there. And I always thought it was my fault or our fault, me and my brother. Like, we did something, he's not there, whatever. And when we finally, like, tracked him down, or we didn't personally track him down, but my mom, I think we were having hard times. I think she may have been seeking child support or something like that. And he had to get a blood test. We all had to be DNA tested, which is in and of itself was offensive, but I was a kid, so I didn't understand. But I heard other people saying it was offensive, so I took that on too. It's like, oh my gosh, how dare he want to go on record as though he doesn't believe that we're his kids. So we go into the place where we had to get our blood tested, and we had to be in the same room with him, the same small phlebotomy exam type room. And he stood all the way on the edge by the door. He wore dark sunglasses. He slightly looked in our direction. He did not speak to us, not even one word, not even, hey, how you doing? Not even anything. He didn't speak to us the whole time. I've carried that in myself as rejection, right? As rejection. And when I went back through doing this exercise with that specific situation, I wasn't me. When I finished going through the whole thing, now when I see that scene from my life, I'm on his side of it. And it's extremely painful. Like, I thought I felt pain. He felt so much sorrow. It was like, I'm wearing the dark glasses. Like, from my perspective, it was like he's wearing dark glasses because he doesn't want to interact with us. But from his perspective, it was like, I'm wearing dark glasses because I cannot let these kids see me cry. Like, they are so grown up, and I've missed so much of their life, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I love these kids, and I'm so sorry that I missed all this. I could never get this time back. I could never apologize enough. I can't apologize enough, so I can't even say anything. Like, I'm so embarrassed. I can't even say a single word. I can't even say hi. I can't even say, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm just going to stand over here in this corner, pretend like I match the wall. I'm going to blend in. I don't even want to be here because I'm so ashamed of my behavior. Right? And so when that happened, when I did the exercise and that came up, every time I think of that situation, I'm just like, dang, I'm like, sorry, dude. Like, yeah, you did miss a lot and I'm sorry that you did, and I feel bad for him, like I can't excuse any of his behavior. But at the same time, I don't feel like it was my fault anymore. I don't feel sad for myself anymore. I don't feel sorrowful for myself anymore, or any kind of pity party. I feel like that was pretty sad. So I could release that. I could release that pain and move on with my life and stop blaming my husband for going to medical school, because I was like, now you're leaving your kids. It's like, and it's just like I was holding my husband at fault for things that my dad did back in the day. And so that's what you do. So you have to do the work and like I said, those are two things that I found that really help, like immediately. Like, you could go to all the psychiatry appointments or psychology. You can take all the prescriptions you want to take. But I did that literally in 5 or 10 minutes. I was good. I was like, wow, this is powerful. So I would encourage you to try that. And sometimes, depending on how bad it is, how deeply ingrained the pain is, you may have to do it. I think Lisa Nichols did, she was doing some forgiveness work. And she said she had to do it like 20 something times. I mean, because you just do it until you do it until it's done. Like, you do the work, and it's called work, but it's the easiest work you'd ever have to do. The only difficult part about it is the emotional stuff that comes up for you. But the emotional stuff that comes up in that moment that you tackle and you deal with is so much better than stretching out the trauma for 50 years, and now, I'm 42. And so, like, this happened when I was like, who knows, like 10 or 11, and I'm still crying about this. I'm still dealing with this as a fully grown person, as a grandma or something, I'm still dealing with this. No, get rid of it. So I'm not saying it's easy. I probably just said it was easy, didn't I? I don't mean that it's easy. I just mean that it's necessary, and it will change